Hi, welcome to another video on the amazing landscape paintings in the Robledo Mountains of southern New Mexico. You should watch my video on Jesus fighting the devil to get updated and caught up on what I found out here. I'm going to zoom back in on this same color banding in the mountains and look at it from a different angle and show a bunch of different figures and characters than I showed before in this exact same spot. When you look at it this way, you can see this fairly large dark-skinned figure in the middle here who appears to have a fairly large phallus, and then there's a face and other faces below his phallus. You can also see that his heart and this round ball have exploded out of his chest. I believe that's because they were using primitive firearms at this time in the battles that are depicted here. In this image from my other video, it appears to show Jesus holding a firearm that has a barrel made out of wood or bone. If you zoom out, there appear to be a whole bunch of other characters hiding up on the side of a hill with more of these weapons. Early firearms that appear to have sights, maybe shields to protect you from the blast. That's why I believe this image depicts this heavy-set guy in the middle being shot from behind, and his heart has been blasted out. Not only that, but this same area, you can see a head of a red-headed man, looks like a Viking, who's just been shot by that same bullet. You could recognize this guy at the store if you saw him. His right eye is bulging, and he doesn't have a left eye. Has this big, burly gray mustache and a long red beard. And if you look at this area in different ways, you can see other incidents of these weapons being used in different ways. With some more photos with slightly oblique lighting, I started to notice that this black round area that's a bullet also appears to form a head of a person, and that this person may be on a crucifix. This crucified character appears to be a woman. I believe might be the mate of this large guy in the middle. I believe all these characters that are shown being killed were martyrs in a war. When viewing these glyphs, it's sometimes good to stand back a bit, kind of look for the broader patterns in the landscape, and you'll find even larger pictures. Like this person reclining kind of in a lotus position appears to be nursing a bunch of babies. It's similar to a Pueblo figure of a storyteller, but I believe this to be a nursemaid. You can also look for things like fingers and fingernails. They often actually depicted them fairly realistically with fairly clear nails. And here you have a giant hand coming down, and the Jesus figure forms a thumb or is being held in this hand with that heart and that ball. Off to the side of this glyph, you can see where they were still working on the lighter colored glyphs on the right, and they had really intense colors to the left. I'm thinking that might be one of the last glyphs made out here. It's so brightly colored. I'm going to zoom out, and now a whole different kind of scene comes out. There's this tent city on the side of a mountain. It's this real idyllic scene of a mountain river and animals, until you really look at it and you start realizing that these round tubes are coming out, and that each one of these tents had a sewage pipe running into this river. And I believe they were purposely depicting this as a warning about urban planning, that if you're not careful, you're going to foul your own water. And that might be one of the reasons the Aztecs became the cleanest empire ever in the world. other scenes in this area. If you look at it in different ways, it appears to be a funeral procession. The goods that are going to go into a tomb. It appears to be a guy in the front at the left that's laying down blood to lubricate the surface to pull this huge block along. You can see the hole drilled through the corner of this block, which is what you would need if you were going to lower a capstone down into a tomb. And there's actual Aztec drawings that show this process. So as I looked at these Christian martyrs that I believe are Aztec tribesmen that I've discovered may have had firearm technology, I couldn't help but wonder who was shooting them. I don't figure that the people in the Valley of Mexico at this time, the leftover kingdoms there of the Totonacs and the Zapotecs and Mixtecs and the Maya, had this kind of technology. I think it would have been these tribes of the Aztecs that brought this technology from other parts of the world. So the only thing I could think of is there were two big Aztec rebellions. In 1125, Huitzilopochtli started leading the Aztecs south from Aztlan, which I've drawn here in white. I believe the Casas Grandes and other sites in this area were some of the capital cities of these tribesmen. We know this because it took 200 years for the Aztecs to establish their capital at Tenochtitlan in 1325. During Huitzilopochtli's lifetime and during these battles, he twice had to go back north and put down rebellions. So I'm just going to guess and say circa 1150, his half-sister led a rebellion, and they actually started a capital city called Malinalco, which I believe is in southern New Mexico, because it's in the area of Mount Coatepec, and I know where that is in southern New Mexico. And I believe I found this capital city. So that leads me to believe that these images may be from the Aztec rebellions that I believe took place in this area, and I have strong evidence to show that. I also wonder if images of crucifixions are symbolic of Christian martyrdom, or if there were actually people crucifying other people, if the rebellious tribes of the Aztecs were maybe anti-Christian, there could have been a sort of religious element to these wars the Aztecs had.